All right. It says we are live, Mr. Zagunis. Oh man, and you are excited. I'm excited. Just
Yeah.
just being here makes me excited. Spirit fingers, dancing. I'm gonna check our social media sites and see if make sure we're streaming everywhere. It looks like we are on Facebook. I see Jack dancing in the delay. We got some viewers. Everyone's starting to hop on. Well, everybody, we're going to get started. Probably give it a couple minutes and let people jump into the webinars. Every time I go back to the Facebook, I guess the replay right now is Jack doing like dancing. So it's hard not to be excited when you see that. Yeah, man, is that like some sort of '80s club dancing or something?
Yep.
Yeah. I got to make a comment about your hat. Like the hat.
Thank you.
Never seen it before.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, man. Cool. So we got people trickling in, man. I'm excited for this. Jack and I were talking last week and we were, just talking about like just, some of the hurdles for people getting involved in real estate and real estate investing in general. And, we have a lot of common questions and Jack's put together a list of them. And really what we're hoping today is to answer everybody's questions about just, foreclosures and real estate investing. If you have anything specific, just let us know in the chat. We're going to answer all your questions today. We're going to try to keep this to 30 minutes. I think we say that every webinar though, and it ends up going over, but Jack's going to keep us accountable and we'll get this over in 30 minutes. So looks like we have a bunch of people on Facebook and we've got on YouTube now. So that's exciting. So just in case didn't know, my name's Curtis Roddy. I'm with Roddy's Foreclosure Listing Service. We've been in the foreclosure data space since the 1970, and really and my family's been involved in real estate data since 1962. So we put out the most complete, accurate, and reliable list that covers 220 counties or foreclosure counties in the state of Texas. We also provide a bunch of other different distressed debt lead types. So so that's kind of me. I've been investing in real estate since I was 18. Bought my first property about 15 years ago, about 12 years ago, and I have fell in love with it then, and I haven't stopped since then. So I'm excited to be here. I just had a little baby, so I'm lacking sun energy. So. I need the pump up, man. I've got a 1 week old baby. So, Jack's going to keep me energized. Jack, can you introduce yourself and just tell people who you are, what you do for us, and how you got here?
Yeah. Started out in real estate. I got my license in Colorado where I was living, and did not really like working for people who were looking at houses and just nitpicking houses and then ended up not making an offer. So I started going every month to the courthouse auction, getting the pre-foreclosure list, starting to rub shoulders with more investor type people, got along with them way better, had way more success, made a lot more money, and just decided that was the sort of the vein of real estate that I wanted to follow, and ended up working for several large buyers of properties as their buyer, and learned a ton from them, and started to get a few of my own. And now I'm working for Curtis Roddy's company and trying to help others sort of demystify the buying process, which is what we're doing today. It's kind of a getting started webinar, so welcome. And if you already done a few deals, this could be some good review for you. And if you haven't done a few deals yet, this is a perfect place for you to be right now, because in these next 25 minutes or so, we're just going to kind of pull the veil over some of the basic concepts of foreclosures, or not pull the veil over, pull the veil off. So
yeah, all right, we got to get that right. All right, it says that we've got a webinar starting on April 17th. I'm trying to figure out how to remove that.
That's exciting.
That out. Yeah, I mean, we're planning for April 17th, 2021. So,
God willing,
yes. So, cool. Well, again, as I said earlier, if you got questions or just about anything with foreclosures or Texas real estate in general, put them in the comments below. We've already had a couple of people say, John, you're interested in delinquent tax deed sales and auctions. We are going to make sure we're going to answer your question and give some background on that. It wasn't on the list when we started, so now it is, and so we're going to make sure we address that before the end of this webinar. Jack, so let's talk about Texas foreclosures, right? Our pre-foreclosure list was finalized last night for kind of our major counties in the state of Texas. Really exciting. A lot of questions associated with foreclosures. Can you just go over what a foreclosure is and kind of how the genesis of a property going from somebody's making their mortgage payments to, hey, now I'm in foreclosure?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the state of Texas, a foreclosure process is called a non-judicial foreclosure. And all that means is when two people get together, which is the lender and the buyer of the property, get together at the very beginning when they decide, hey, we're going to go buy a property and we want to use your money to do it, they're going to sign what's called a deed of trust. And in that deed of trust, they're already saying, hey, look, if we stop making our payments, you can put our home up in a foreclosure sale and you can get it back. So because it's already agreed upon ahead of time, it doesn't need a judge to say, hey, this is how you can sell the house and this is how you can get your money back. So it makes it so much simpler and so much easier for everybody involved to have that pre-agreement called the deed of trust.
Yeah,
so
that's and I'll kind of just elaborate. I mean, and we've got there are some states, like I think I know Colorado, part of it's judicial. Some of them there's like a hybrid of it's judicial, non-judicial. Like the deed of trust says, hey, yeah, you can do this, but then there's like a courthouse has to grant the ability to do that. In Oklahoma, I believe it's the same way. So Texas is not. I mean, it is a very straightforward state, right? Like you make a posting on the courthouse with the county clerk, and then you also send it to the homeowner. And 21 days later, on the first Tuesday of that month, so that's 19 days from today. There's going to be a foreclosure sale, and the bank has the ability to foreclose on your property at that point.
Yeah, and a big question we've asked is, hey, Jack, I see your foreclosure list, but I don't see your pre-foreclosure list, or vice versa. Where's your foreclosure list or your pre-foreclosure list? So the very short answer to that is a foreclosure is a process. So if someone starts the process of foreclosure, that means they're giving a notice that they're going to sell their property on the first Tuesday of that month. Their property is now in what's called pre-foreclosure. If indeed it does sell on that first Tuesday of the month, it is then, we call it, and maybe people have other terminologies, but we call it a foreclosure at that point. That foreclosed property is then in the ownership of either the bank or the investor who bought it on the courthouse steps. So the list that Roddy's provides our members every month is called the pre-foreclosure list, and that is just the people who are in the process of foreclosure. Now, what's really interesting about the pre-foreclosure list is the bank has to give someone a minimum of 21 days notice before they can foreclose on it. But they don't have to give them just 21-day notice. Say, for example, if they foreclose today, their next auction would be in August, but they can make the auction in September. They can make it in October. They can make it whatever month they want. It's their choice if they feel that the homeowner could use those 3 or 4 months to catch up those payments and to get things settled. So on our list, there is a drop-down tab, and if we know any information that's coming up in the future, we know if a property is going to be foreclosed on in, say, September right now, we will have that available for you. So
yeah, so a lot of times banks will kind of go above and beyond just to give the homeowner the ability to cure that debt or to find an investor, help that homeowner cure the debt. And our investors come in all the time, and they're saying, they'll help the homeowner ahead of time. So we'll have properties posted for, a lot of times, I think right now we have several September postings in our major counties. So as we get those postings in, we do put that out. Jack, I'll also add that you mentioned we have a pre-foreclosure list, and that is kind of the flagship product that we have. But we do also have a foreclosure list, right? We call that our struck off or our auction results. The struck off results is going to be the results of the auction. We have an unsold property list. That's going to be all the properties that were posted but didn't actually sell. We'll have a future webinar talking about that. And if you have questions about that stuff, Jack is your guy for that. And then another plug for the sheriff's list, which is really the same thing as the pre-foreclosure list. It comes out 21 days prior to the auction, but it is for tax sales. So John was asking a question about tax sales. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But we do have our pre-foreclosure list is going to be all the mortgages. There are some tax mortgages, and those will be included. HOAs are on there as well. And then we have a tax or a sheriff's list. That's going to be everything that the county or the state or the city is foreclosing on.
Yeah, great. Another common question we get is, what does the auction day look like? And a lot of people ask, do I need to register? Do I need to be a realtor? What do I do to go there? So anybody can show up at the courthouse steps and bid on those properties. But am I right, Curtis, in saying that on some of the tax foreclosures, some of the counties do require registration ahead of time?
Correct. Yeah, most of the counties will require that you register for that foreclosure sale ahead of time. Now, like in Travis County, for instance, you register every 90 days, and you're essentially just you mail them a picture of your driver's license, or you go to the courthouse and say, "My name is Curtis Roddy. I want to buy this." They will make sure that I do not own or owe delinquent taxes in that county, and if I do, I cannot bid on it because I'm bidding on taxes. But
wow, I did not know that. That's great.
Yeah, so Tarrant County, most of the counties require that. Typically, you have to register like 7 days ahead of the auction. So if you guys have questions about that, we'll probably do a future webinar if on tax sales and just like that process and how that works. It's a little bit different, and it's held different with different cadences. But we'll do a future webinar. But in the meantime, if you have questions about taxes or tax sales, shoot Jack an email, send us a chat, put a comment in there. There's a lot of ways to communicate with us. Pick one of them, and we'll make sure we answer them. So we've got a couple of questions coming in. I mean, my favorite so far is Wayne wants to grow goatee so he can look like Jack. I mean,
yeah,
I think we all do. I mean, Jack, you probably
Thanks,
could
Wayne.
You could probably start selling that hat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and then we could all look like Jack. So
yeah,
awesome.
Great. We'll have a bunch of goatee wearing people at the auction next month. Love it.
And then we got Dana. Dana's back. Dana, thank you so much for joining us again today. We'll make sure we answer your questions about homesteaded properties. We always great to get your questions and comments. So, Jack, I think I probably cut you off in the prime of your talk, but I guess keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're getting some complex questions probably coming in. I'm not looking at them right now, but I'm telling you, this is more of a starter class, like what to do if, what's this whole process about? When you buy a property on the courthouse steps, do you own it? Or is the owner allowed to come back and get it back? Now, this is a state-specific question. So in the state of Texas, when you buy a property at the trustee auction, that's it. You're the owner. And the other, past owner cannot come and get it back from you. If you buy it at the tax auction, however, there is what's called a right of redemption, and you can lose that. There also are probably some other right of redemptions with the trustee sale, just if there's a federal tax lien on a property. So just, before you go into it too deeply, you might want to get an attorney's advice or help on that.
Yeah, we're not attorneys, and so yeah. Now, because it's a non-judicial state, it's usually relatively straightforward. But if you have legal questions, we can refer you to real estate attorneys in Texas, but we can't answer any legal questions. That's now recorded. We said it. So
yes,
Dana has a question. It's an interesting question, and I'm going to look this up and clarify. But I think in general, you're asking like, hey, can I go to the courthouse, buy a property that's homesteaded, and then sell it back to that homestead owner at a profit, or even a non-homesteaded owner? And Jack, do you have an answer for that? Or
can an investor buy a Texas property, a homestead property, and sell it back to the former homestead owner at a profit?
Yeah, and so I think the answer is probably I don't see anything. Again, we would recommend you speak with an attorney. If for some reason you're able to buy that and then and then sell it back to the homeowner later, or with some sort of future financing or owner financing or something like that, yes. I mean, you should. Yeah. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't.
I could see maybe a problem being if the homesteaded or not, is getting an FHA loan. If you haven't owned that property for 90 days, then you can't really make a profit on it. So
yeah, that's a good point. Now, typically somebody that gets foreclosed on, they're not going to be able to qualify for a loan, and so
yeah, but it would be weird to sell it back to them, right? How are they getting the money and they couldn't get the money too?
So a lot of I've seen it in the past where like somebody will and we've bought properties at the foreclosure auction where the previous owner wants to stay, they obviously don't want to lose their house.
Mm-hmm.
And we've worked out like owner financing deals or let them rent. So there's ways to be creative about it. I mean, talk about turnkey, like, right, you buy the property, you have an agreement to sell it at a profit in 7 years when they can get a loan again, and in the meantime they're paying rent. So that's a turnkey way to do it. Hopefully that answers your question, Dana. If you have any more questions or follow up to that, let us know, and we'll kind of keep looking into that. Again, shoot Jack something on Facebook or chat, and we'll answer that.
Yeah. All right, let's get back to more beginner stuff for sure. So if you are just starting out and you would like to do what we call wholesaling, or talking to these pre-foreclosure owners and seeing, hey, if they would sell their property to you so that you could sell it to somebody else and make a profit in between, the first thing you're going to need is a good quality list of what's happening next. So let's go ahead. It's a good segue, I think, and we're about halfway through our meeting, to jump onto the foreclosure list. And let me know when you're sharing my screen. Oh,
I'm sharing it. You should.
Okay, so on the front banner here, we're telling you right now that all of our major counties are done. This is the website, the number 4, thewordclosure.info. And then we also have a really helpful map right here. It's going to show you which properties are completed. And that is also going to be found under resources, which counties are going to be completed. And as you click it, you can see that the counties that are in green are completed for the month, and then the ones that are in red we're still working on, and then the ones that are in blue, we cover them, but we don't have any results yet. So we're going to look at Tarrant today, and Tarrant is green, so it's completed. So I can go into the list by logging in right here, put in my password, and we're going to go to products. And then I always go to our products. It's going to bring up this screen right here to the live foreclosure auctions and pre-foreclosure list. I'm going to select, and if you just subscribe to 1 to 3 counties, you probably won't even want to select a county, but since I've got all of them, I'm going to select Tarrant County. And here is where you can choose which month. As you can see, we have listings in August, September, and July. One question we have is, hey, my zip code is not showing up in the zip code list. We're only going to show zip codes that there are current foreclosures in. So if you're missing a zip code, it's not because we left it off. It's just because there's nothing in there for that zip code. Same with the city. If there's a city in here that's left off the list, it's just because there's no foreclosures in that city. So once you hit search, you see we have 120 for the next auction. You hit view all. And this is what I do when I come into the list. The first thing I do is I check when the loan was taken out. So let's see, these first few, let's start down here. This first few have, so right here it says 2018. So this is a purchase money mortgage, which is also known as a conventional loan. And it was taken out in 2018. And so typically that's a newer loan. But this is a little bit of an odd loan because it says right over here in this box that it expires in 2019. So I might want to look at that a little bit further and see what's going on with that one.
Yeah, I mean, just from like looking at who the grantor and the grantee are on that property, it looks like that's like probably a hard money loan, right?
You can see the owner of the property is a No Flipping Clue LLC, kind of a clever name. And then so that was a short-term loan that did not work out for them.
Yeah.
Right?
So and right now, a lot of what we're seeing being foreclosed on right now are going to be hard money loans, and so typically a hard money loan is anywhere from 6 to 13 months. I think the kind of industry standard is 12 months. So now you get to purchase money mortgage, so that's gives you some interesting protection.
This is really interesting actually too, because they got this in 2018. They got a $185,000 loan on it, but if the CAD value on it is $247,000, so I'm going to try to find this No Flipping Clue LLC, and I'm going to try to make them an offer. Right? And how do I know where they live? Well, they're an LLC. They probably don't live here. We have this great little box over here on the right. Do you see it? It's a red box with a white outline there. And it's going to tell you what their mailing address is. And so you can actually send them a letter or find more information about them. And due to the restrictions going on right now with HUD-backed loans, this is probably one that will go to foreclosure. And so this is one that I would definitely approach. So this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the year the loan was taken out. I'm looking for, what kind of loan it was, and I'm looking for the value of it and how much the loan was. And I can do that really fast because I've done this a bunch, but you'll get faster too as you start to go through it. Let's look at a more traditional one. How about this one right here? This is a 2004 loan. It has an 8.88 interest rate on it. That's pretty high in today's standards. In 2004, I mean, it was a little high. It wasn't crazy to get a loan like that. It surprises me that, in 2011 to 2015, they never refinanced that, which is what a lot of people did. They just kind of kept their higher rate, and they took out a loan for $83,000, and they paid it all the way down to about $66,000. We believe that's an estimate, but the tax value is $212. So this guy's got a huge, or girl has got a huge amount of equity on that property. So this is definitely one that I'm going to approach. And then once I know I like it, I start looking. You can see my cursor already starts going to other things to look at it. So I know that it's a 1765 square foot home, so a basic home. It's got 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. So the thing about this business is, it kind of goes up and down, but the first thing that kind of things stop selling is the high, most expensive homes out there. Once you see those start sitting on the market for a little bit, a change is coming. But right now, there's just been nobody building homes as fast as people need them. So especially for that moderate priced home, $200,000 to $300,000 home, maybe $350,000, that's 1,700 square feet, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, and this one has a 2-car garage and a pool. That is going to be desirable, really almost, I don't want to predict the future, but almost no matter what happens. So these are ones that are going to be highly sought after. It's built in 1977, so there's probably some deferred maintenance, maybe here or there. It's probably had the roof and the AC replaced at least once in its life, and if it never has, then that's another thing to talk to them about. So anyway, this is how I look at it. I would go through the list and I would find properties like this. I would probably group them up by areas of town, and then I would just start driving them. If you're going to be bidding on the courthouse with them, or if you're going to be going straight to the homeowner, either way, you need to be going by these houses. You need to be at least walking up to the door to kind of get a judge on the quality of the property, and to maybe even say to the homeowner, hey, my name's Jack. I work for XYZ Realty. I'm here because your house is on the notice of election and demand. That might be a mistake, and if it is, I'm sorry, but if it's not, do you have a couple minutes that maybe we could talk about your options? Give them a business card of yours, make sure they have something. People's knee-jerk reaction is to say, no, it's not a problem. I do not need your help, and just expect that. That's going to happen. And you can do one of two things. You can say, okay, no problem. People often contact us, a few days before the sale if it doesn't work out the way you hope it will. And that's totally fine. We can do that. We just need a few days notice before the foreclosure sale, and maybe there's still something we can do. Or I've heard the strategy of just throwing your offer out at them as they're closing the door in your face. So I heard that the other day. It's like, well, we were going to offer you $150,000, as they close the door, and that might get the door to open back up again. So do your research before you go out there. You may want to research these people, John and Jean, and you may want to find out, oh, okay, it looks like, these people still live there, or they live somewhere else, or you could find out, unfortunately, it looks like one of them may have passed away. Now I'm going to be dealing with an heir situation. So it's really good to get as much information, maybe even kind of know what your ballpark offer would be before you even go out to the house.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jack. And we've got, there's a lot of other data. This is kind of the starting point, right? So you start here, you get your initial data. I wouldn't say data dump, but just like you're going to have your query. So some people don't want to, I don't buy properties built before 1990 because of the general maintenance stuff but that also presents a lot of opportunities for other investors. Jack, can you go back to our query page and just kind of show maybe some of the available query options? So like somebody, let's just say you only want to buy properties that are 10 years old or 5 years old or something like that. How would you kind of start filtering that down?
Yeah, absolutely. So down here, there's so many different filters. So say there's a house in foreclosure and our list does blow up again because it's late fall, and there's a ton of foreclosures on the list, but the street number. So you can put in the street number here, just put a range. It'll be in the middle of that. You can put your zip code in here, and as far as say you're a wholesaler and you have this great buyer and he's going to buy, he's going to pay a good price for a property, but he's not going to buy anything built before 1970. Well, you can do that in year of construction range and start it at 1970 to current. And what do we have? What do we start with? 120. So now it's going to down to 72. So we just lost 48 properties just like that.
Yep.
So that is how you would filter down. I always suggest you start with the biggest net possible and then filter it down, just to kind of see what's out there. But if some people, they jump into the filter and they get it really fine-tuned, and they might be missing a few things that could be good deals. Here you can choose what type of building it is. So if you need a dental building, you say, my life would be complete if I got a dental building at the foreclosure auction. Boom, you got your dental building in there. And then there is your one dental building right here. It's in Arlington and it's in foreclosure. So
great deal for a dentist that might need a new place to work.
We were just talking about dentists in our morning meeting. So this is how you use the list. We're getting close to that 30-minute mark. So I just want to also point out we have something called the new live update. This is not your foreclosure list. The search button is your foreclosure list. However, this button does tell you which properties are going to be going to auction and which ones are going to be canceled. So keep an eye on that at least twice a week. Keep updating that, and you can use these filters right here to see if the property has been canceled or whatnot for the next auction.
So Jack, I want to make sure we answered John's question. John's question is like, let's just say on that last property you were talking about, you are able to buy it for $150,000. What's the process of buying that property before the auction?
So you can get, since you're buying it for yourself, you can get any kind of contract that you want. You can have an attorney write up a contract or find one online. It is free to go to TREC, which is TREC, if you just Google search that and go into forms and get a 1 to 4 family residential contract. It is a long contract, but it does cover like all the bases. You do not have to be a realtor. You can contact your favorite realtor and ask them to write up the deal for you for a fee as well. But that's what we use. Is we use a 1 to 4 family residential contract from TREC. I am a realtor, so I when I write contracts for other people, I have to use those. Basically, I'm practicing law, but they allow us to do that as long as we're just filling in blanks. So anybody can use that. It's a great resource, and we could probably do an entire webinar just about how to fill out one of those contracts, because it is, I believe, about 10 pages long.
Yeah. So far we've got 3 new webinar ideas: how to fill out the contract, how to we want to talk about the tax sales, and then we also want to talk about the unsold list, and I'll throw in the post bankruptcy. So we got the next 4 weeks are booked, Jack. I'm kind of excited now. Well, guys, we're going to be doing webinars every week. So I'm excited. I just point that out. And if there's, again, anything that we still got a couple minutes left, and Jack's got a lot to cover. But if there's anything that we don't cover in these, or he's like, hey, I'd love to learn more about, post bankruptcy alert or wholesaling, let us know in the comments. We've also done a lot of other webinars, and we had a summit with a lot of recorded video that we can point you in the right direction to learning more. And then we also be open to kind of doing future webinars or trainings. Jack, we're getting close to the end. There's a couple of ways to buy a foreclosure, right? So we've talked about the pre-foreclosure list, but just broad overview. I mean, how would an investor buy a foreclosure property or a real estate investment property, and how do you kind of determine whether or not you're eligible for that?
Yeah, so anybody can buy a foreclosure property, and what you do need though is, and when you go to the courthouse steps, you do need cash. No, you can't bring down payment. No, you can't run to the bank with 99% of the trustees and go get your checks. you need to come with checks ready to go. And so if you're buying them on the courthouse steps, that is going to enable you to get a really good deal on a property in most cases, because not a lot of people have, in that last case, $150,000 lying around that you can spend. So how do you get your cashier's checks? You make your cashier's checks out to yourself or to your entity. And then when you win the bid, you just sign them over to the trustee. Your cashier's check should look like a wallet, so you can have some 100,000, some 50,000, some 20,000, some 10s, some 5s, some 1s, whatever you want. You can overbid. You can't underbid. So if you overbid, they'll mail you a refund check in about 2.5 weeks. So you don't want to overbid too high, because then you're losing money for 2.5 weeks. The other option is to buy it directly from the homeowner. What most people don't understand is the bank does not own this property. The homeowner has the full rights to live in the property, to sell the property, to enjoy the property. They have the full bundle of rights. And so you can go up to the homeowner, you can make a deal. The only way that the bank would ever have any say if that deal goes or not is if you're making an offer for less than what is owed. And then that is a whole nother webinar in itself. But if you're going up to a homeowner and offering them at least what is owed on the property, the bank's got to take it. They cannot finish the foreclosure after the property's been sold. You're the new homeowner, or whoever you wholesale it to is. So.
And if you have more questions about like auction purchasing and buying property at the auction, even getting ready for the foreclosure auction, Paul and I, a couple of weeks ago, we did a webinar. It's on Facebook. It's on YouTube. We talk about getting the cashier's checks ready, finding everything, and really navigating the auction. So, I think kind of that's the preferred way to buy a foreclosure property. But like Jack said, there's not everybody has that cash lying around. So, buying pre-foreclosure, that's definitely how most people get started. They'll buy their property, they'll buy their first property before the auction, they'll get some equity built up, and then they're 6-7 months later, you're able to start going to the auction, buying properties at the foreclosure steps.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell everyone, the most experience you're going to get is when you buy that first property. So stop sitting around, go out there and knock on a door, get that first property under your belt. You're going to learn a ton. Hopefully, you won't make any big mistakes that are going to, but at the same time, you don't want to wait so long that you never do anything at all and change your future and change your family tree and get that generational wealth that foreclosures and real estate in general can provide you and your family. So.
Awesome. Well, we had a lot more to cover, and we're already over our 30-minute mark. So, Jack, anything closing to talk about? Or
yeah, I heard a great line the other day in another webinar we were watching, which is people are in foreclosure, not houses. So as you walk up to the house, just take a deep breath, realize this is not just sticks and mud and brick and whatever. This is a human being going through probably one of the worst experiences in their life. So if you feel like you have any calling at all for helping people, serving people, ministering to people, there's anything at all, just come with that compassion that they are going through an awful experience right now. And if you can help them in any possible way, do it. And it may not even be buy their house and make a big profit on it. It may be something else. So think about that. I love that line. People are in foreclosures, not houses.
Awesome. Well, that's a great way to end this, Jack. Again, if you guys have questions, comments, if you're watching this after we do the live stream, put the comments below. Jack will make sure he answers them. Give us a call, give us a chat. And remember, don't pay retail for real estate. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.